Theories of religion attempt to tell us what religion really is, as opposed to how it merely appears. In this lecture, we briefly survey 6 classic theories of religion. Many professors of religious studies would observe that insights can be gathered from each of these 6 approaches. This is true, but it's also a trivial point. Of course, something must be right in each one of these theories, otherwise why would that theory seem at all plausible to smart people? If they were completely stupid and wrong-headed, they wouldn't be classic theories. Keep in mind that most of these theories are plainly contrary to one another. That means that as a matter of logic, both of them can't be true. They could all be false, but on the face of it, no two of them could be true. I divide up theories of religion into how they relate to the worldview of naturalism. Naturalism is the dominant view of the world today. In many classes, in many fields, naturalism is considered something too obvious to be named. It's the view that what there really is what would be described by a perfect physics. If naturalism is true, there's nothing supernatural. No gods, no nirvana, no non-physical forces or powers of any kind. Some people and some academics assume that this is what everybody thinks in the modern world, or at least obviously it's what everyone should think if they know anything about science. Philosophers know better. We separate science, properly speaking, from philosophy that tends to go along with it. To us, naturalism is a philosophy. It existed before science, and it's separable from it. Some scientists are not naturalists. In any case, some theories of religion are naturalistic. That is, they're compatible with naturalism and even a good fit with it. On the other hand, some theories of religion are non-naturalistic. They seem to be incompatible with naturalism. They seem to presuppose that there's something other than what would be described in a perfect physics. Of those non-naturalistic theories of religion, some of them are religious, that they're compatible with one or more actual religions. And some non-naturalistic theories of religion are seemingly not compatible with any actual religion, although you might think of them as religious in some sense, or at least friendly to religion. To start then, 2 famous and influential theories of the first kind. The first is the theory of the unique intellectual Karl Marx, the father of communism, and really the father of any kind of what's called leftist political thought. During his lifetime, he was just an intellectual, just a writer, and he died in poverty and obscurity. It's really impossible to imagine what the history of the 20th century would have been without Karl Marx. In his philosophy, he's trying to achieve a practical aim. He says that, quote, philosophers have only interpreted the world. The point is to change it. He assumes materialism. That is, that all that exists is space and matter in space. He's a naturalist. But beyond that, he assumes that human destinies are determined by biological and economical factors. Many fields of human intellectual inquiry he labels as ideologies, things like morality, politics, religion, and philosophy. Those are really a product of biological and economic factors. According to Marx, religion is a purely human product. It doesn't come from any kind of supernatural reality. Religion is a certain kind of ideology, the function of which is to keep people from thinking about their situation. In one purple passage, he writes that religion, quote, is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the sentiment of a heartless world, and the soul of a soulless condition. It is the opium of the people, end quote. He thinks of it as a fundamental ideology, and so a main enemy of revolution. He thinks religion discourages the kind of analysis and critique that's necessary to bring about revolution. How could religion function as a pain-killing drug? Well, he's thinking that belief in a soul, belief in afterlife, belief in heaven, that those are great painkillers for the exploited factory worker. He or she can just fantasize about someday going to a better place, and this will keep them working. In his view, religion really serves the interests of the people in charge. It's a means by which the ruling class exploits and controls the workers. It tells them to be humble, to bear suffering like Christ. It tells them to suppress their desires, tells them to work hard. The interesting thing is that Marx was pushing something very much like a religion himself. His diagnosis is that humans are fundamentally locked in a class struggle, and this amounts to the workers, the working masses, versus the owners of the means of production. People who own the land, people who own the businesses, people who employ the workers. It's the evil capitalists versus everyone else. The cure is to bring about a massive global revolution. The workers of the world will rise up and seize the means of production themselves. And in place of capitalism, they'll build a truly classless society. There essentially won't be private property, things will be owned in common, things will all be for the common good. A famous slogan is, "From each according to his ability, to each according to his need." If you think about it, that's kind of how families operate. This ideal future society will be like that, and there'll be no injustice, little to no inequality, no one who has to go without, and no one who gets rich. What does one to say about all this? One common objection to Marx's theory of religion, and it's an objection that seems to stick, is that it's a case of reductionism. It's a case of being too simple. On this view, religion is the result of purely biological and economic circumstances. And so there's nothing unique about it, and it's viewed as an effect and not as a cause. Even more serious, there are theoretical and practical problems of Marxism as an economic and political theory. The theory of religion here is really embedded in this whole worldview, which is much like a religion, or maybe it is a religion. As to theoretical problems, many have asked whether it's really true that in a capital system, the workers have to be exploited. Why can't there be a capitalist system in which the workers are not exploited, in which the workers willingly agree to the system, and in which their interests are well served? And how can we assume that the workers are one united class, one group with one point of view that can adequately be represented by one political party? On a practical level, history has not been kind to Marxism. In practice, these revolutions and the resulting communist countries have always been controlled by an elite which habitually ignores human rights. And the 20th century is red with the blood of their victims. Still, the point seems obviously correct that sometimes the people in charge use religion as a tool to manipulate the masses of people. In our next segment, a psychological account of religion from the famous Sigmund Freud.